I really think Witcher was not a mistake, but I think it was a oddity in the gaming industry. Like what it pulled off is not something I don't think. That's the thing. I think people think now that one person did it, everyone could do it, but I don't think that's the case. I think that was
I feel like
well done.
That should be the standard. I feel like that should be the standard.
It should be the standard. I believe.
Because remember, I keep on telling you, I'm like, yo,
it wasn't
until
a commodity,
game come
it was
out,
a variable.
Until a game come out that is better than Witcher game of the year every year, bro.
I agree with that, but like, I don't know. I guess it's just I'm not gonna.
That's a whack way to think, because then that means Ocarina of Time was game of the year for the last 15 years.
Until something of better quality
that will blow him
out.
Away and be
exactly.
Like, if there's something that will like immerse me and just be like, yo, this is the shit. Like I'll say right now, what Anon's saying is like how I feel about Persona. Like 30 hours in, like I'm just like, yo, this shit is fire. Like this shit I love this shit as much as I've loved The Witcher.
Exactly.
Like, this is good.
That's
it's
all
until a game like that comes around that everything else to me is just like it's like okay,
it's whatever.
It's either it's whatever or it's like decent. Because it's like
it's good,
Witcher, we can talk about for 3, 4, 5 years. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think people are gonna be talking about Andromeda in the coming 2 years. Or like people just like you already know this now. People aren't talking about Andromeda anymore. Like it was a funny meme shit that people made fun of. But now Persona dropped and all these other games are about to drop, and nobody's talking about it now. No one cares.
I'm still confused at what your point is. Like it's like
what he's trying to say is he's talking about like for now on, like he says, like a game in order for him to like sing its praises, it needs to hit a certain point.
That's like
the quality of Witcher.
That's like digging in something like the best pussy you ever had. That shit was straight wet. You almost fell in love. You almost busted a nut, and then the next week you get another bitch, and the pussy's wet. It's all right,
good.
But you're not gonna enjoy yourself just because it's not as good as the other weeks.
No, that's not what Anon's saying.
That's not what I'm saying.
He said I can enjoy something as good, but he's saying I'm not going to praise the other things because they just aren't that okay. It's like,
but who is saying that? No, my thing is who is saying it is though. Who is saying such and such is amazing?
It's not saying that I'm not saying that I'm not going to praise other games. That's not what I'm saying at all. I have no problem praising other games.
He said
what I'm saying is until a game comes out that I feel like is better than The Witcher, then The Witcher is my standard for game of the year. Period.
So you're saying every other game just
so there's no option for a game of the year until something comes along that's better than The Witcher or on par is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the thing. From an enjoyment
standpoint. That's how I feel about albums too. That's how I feel about albums too. When I hear a really, really good album, I'm like, okay, until I hear another album that blows me away to this level,
because that's like
the standard now.
That's like saying LeBron is irrelevant because he's not as good as Michael.
No, it's not, because I'm not saying
because LeBron could be The Witcher. No. For example, I'll use that same example. Not Jackson. Jordan could be, let's say, Ocarina of Time, right? I think Ocarina of Time is probably one of the best games of all time. But then when I played Witcher, I played it, I was like, yo, this is like my new favorite. And then like Zelda was behind, but now I think currently in the current state of everything, this is by far the best. Like if I had to tell anybody, like if my life was in danger and I had to risk one game, be like, you got to give me the most fire game and I love it. I put Witcher on the line. I'd be like, play Witcher 3. Like I would tell a person every time. If I had a go-to game, I'd be like, "You gotta play it. It's Witcher 3 every time." I'm gonna tell a person.
You can't give that answer to everybody though, because not everybody.
I feel like what Anon is saying is like, I'm
gonna tell. No, because
people always say that LeBron is the best player. In the NBA right now.
Right now, right. And it's like right now, Witcher is the best. Right. Is the best.
Seems like another game could win.
Right.
Game of the year, but
like
we all still know that LeBron is the best player.
Yeah, Westbrook can get MVP, but someone's still gonna say LeBron is still. Like,
but I don't think that was ever. I agree with you. I don't think that was ever a debate. I'm confused at what we're debating about.
Okay, so then you were agreeing with me the whole time.
Yeah, I said that. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, why are you? No, I'm confused at why you niggas are getting so worked up. You niggas is nerds, bro. Like, what are we talking about?
Like, don't even let him do this to you. He started it. He came in here trying to say some shit about the Zelda, and then he said you couldn't say that. Don't even try that shit.
You guys don't have any valid points. You don't have any valid points. Just like Batman the other day, I proved you wrong with Batman.
Nah.
All right, so Witcher 3 is your standard. You still enjoy other games, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and that's fine. But I'm saying, I guess where I'm coming from is I don't understand, like, who's getting upset with you that you hold that to a standard where you feel like you have to explain yourself?
He wasn't. What I was bringing up to Anon, I was like, that added, like, that's a good standard thing. But I think it's like a lot of times it's now is people use that and they're going to be disappointed about every game that comes out from now on. Like they're just every game's going to be ruined for them, and they're not going to be able to enjoy anything. But like what Anon was saying was like, and I agreed with, was like you can still enjoy that stuff. It's just for the future of like gaming, where it's like, yo,
right? You had a video about it. Demand better. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Demand better.
I agree.
That's
Demand better, but at the same time, you can't expect that everything is going to be 100% amazing. Sometimes you got to go to Wahlburgers. We can't always get
No, and that's why. And that was my whole point. When I was telling Anon was like, I think Witcher 3 was an oddity. Like, I don't think every studio can reproduce the same amount of quality that Witcher can. We can say that's the standard, but I don't think like you said, like every burger joint can't reach the standard of whatever your favorite burger.
Course,
like,
also, my Demand Better video that was more about like taking away content off disc. That was more. About
I thought you were talking about my video, but
yeah, I was talking about Ethos.
Oh, okay.
My Demand Better video, but that's but that was my point. It's like I don't.
No, and that's not what I'm bringing up. I'm not saying that every single. Okay, I'll give you an example right now. I think Shadow of War is going to be fucking incredible.
I agree.
But do I think it's going to be better than The Witcher? No. Does that mean I'm not going to enjoy it? No. Nigga, you is insane. I'm going to love the shit out of that game, most likely. What I am trying to say is I feel like there can be one every year. There can be that game every year that just goes above and beyond the norm. That's just like,
I'm sure some people
I don't know about every year.
I don't know about every year because like I said,
Well,
a player
year,
like
but
LeBron
yeah,
comes around every
every year.
once in a generation. And like
That's what we're saying.
an amazing
Witcher is
music
right.
album comes around like once in a generation. Like it's just not possible. Like I mean, you've said it several times. Like you can't just make amazing. It's something that you have to sit on.
Yeah,
that you have to let marinate. So it's like you
That's
can't
my point.
expect
I'm
that
like-
every year.
Witcher is
okay,
an
maybe
oddity.
not every year, but I definitely feel like it's something that can come more often because I feel like I think
statistically, Anon has a point where I don't think it's like going to take a decade to make a Witcher 3 again. Like,
because my whole
you
thing
can say
is
in the past 3 years, every 3 years, there's been a game that's like that has rose
That's
above
been-
like the others. Like
I'll
you could say
say
Last
every
of Us is
5
probably
years,
an example
it's
of that.
exactly
Witcher's an
Last of Us,
example
right.
of that. You could say beforehand, you could argue Mass Effect was one of them. Before that, you could argue Half-Life 2 was one of them. Like you could go back.
Well,
to
how
every
many
couple
games
of
have
years
you
and
been
run
playing? How many games have you been playing? Because I can argue there have been. Like I think Bayonetta 2 is up there. That game was fucking amazing. That's one of my favorite
Like I
games
said,
of like.
that's why I said to me until a game comes out that makes me feel X, Y, and Z. Like a game like that to me may not be the same as like to you.
For you.
Because
That's why it's just for
I don't
him,
know if
not
y'all,
everyone.
yeah, exactly. I don't know if y'all ever played Golden Sun. I fucking
Nigga,
love Golden Sun, bro.
That shit was fire.
Golden Sun is my favorite handheld game of all fucking time.
That JRPG
Okay,
was fire.
so like it's literally it's a me preference kind of thing. What I'm pretty much just saying is like it's not a Witcher 3 thing specifically, but it's like we get so many games that are so half-assed and shit in quality that I'm saying like niggas need to do better. Like when I see a game,
you're talking about
yeah,
the
you know what I'm saying?
philosophy. You're talking about the philosophy of the game. The game should follow the philosophy, which is like do the best damn job you can at a game. Put all your heart and soul into it.
Exactly.
No, I think that's where the business aspect of things come, because you don't think BioWare didn't want to make a masterpiece of Andromeda. It has everything to do with EA. It has everything to do with
and that goes back into what I was saying.
That's what he's saying.
Back into what I was saying.
Star Citizen is a rare oddity as well because they're in a situation where they don't have the EA situation. That's what I was saying. I was agreeing with you, TBH. Is I don't think every studio can replicate what Witcher did, like especially not BioWare because they're under EA and EA will not allow them to have that. Like they had 5 years to develop Mass Effect Andromeda. Not bad, but it's still like. I still could see someone argue and say, but that was 5 years of development, and that was the best they could do. It's like, fair point. And it's like The Witcher. I think Witcher took 5 years. Yeah, I believe. Was it 5 years of development they took them, and they produced. I mean, let's say it's 5 years.
Yeah, I think
if
so.
it took them 5 years, and that's what they produced, I can see how someone would be like. You know, it's like you had 5 years. You had a lot of money.
Well, I can also argue
where'd the polish go?
I could also argue that once again this falls on EA because BioWare's being stretched thin. They're working on multiple games at once. CD Projekt Red was working on The Witcher 3, and then right after that they're coming out with what's the other game they're coming out with now?
Cyberpunk.
Yeah. Other than that, that's all they were focusing on, The Witcher. The BioWare had Dragon Age. They had Andromeda. They have another game that's rumored to be coming out that you were just talking about. Ethos.
Well, you tell me let me tell you what that is. I don't think that's EA. I think that's mismanagement by BioWare. Like,
okay,
I've read a couple of reports, and I seriously believe this just has shitty
too.
management right now. Like, they don't know, they don't have high up people who are doing their jobs from a management side of like, this is how we're gonna
delegating
time to, yeah. And I'm telling you, that's what Star Citizen is dealing with right now. It's like, I don't think I think they're talented. I think they can do the job, but if their management isn't tight, where they're like, we gotta have pipelines and stuff like that, and if you're more loose about that, you can run into issues when you're developing your game where it's like you miss stuff or you miss spot. And I think that's where Andromeda failed, because from what I read a couple things and I was like, what it seems like the reason why Andromeda got all fucked up was they apparently outsourced some animation shit
that's what
to get like less labor, so it wouldn't cost them as much, and they thought they'd have enough time to go back and polish all those lines. They realized because of how big the fucking game is, they couldn't do it, and then they got screwed, and they're like, wow, we don't have enough time. And they thought, oh, Frostbite's face animation voice acting algorithm could fix most of the problems, and it didn't. It made it worse. And that's why it had a lot of the fucking weird ass issues it had, apparently. And that's what a couple of ex-BioWare animators said about when they had their experience with it. So, like, shit like that, I think it's purely mismanagement. And I think that The Witcher, like what you say, Anon, at the time, I feel like they had everything right. Like, they had all the pieces of the puzzle perfectly aligned at the right time, and that's how it was able to get so successful. And I think a lot of times it's skill, a lot of times it's creative stuff, but I think at the end of the day, there's definitely a factor of, like, can you get everything to work together simultaneously? And if you don't have that, then you can't make another Witcher. It's going to be impossible for you. Like, for example, do you think Zelda could be considered like another Witcher? I know you haven't played. We haven't played it yet. Yeah.
Well,
would you say,
I haven't played it.
From what you've gathered of how everybody's reacted to it, would you say that it's possibly like people would?
I don't take Nintendo seriously. But what do you think?
I'm not even saying like disregard the Nintendo like for a second and just say like a person that you'd be like, okay, I think this person has their head on a swivel, and they say that the game's really good. Would you say
that? So who
that?
you gonna listen to, Ace?
Oh God.
I mean, I played it, but
how you gonna do it? Okay, so Steven, for example, would you played Witcher?
Yeah.
Okay, would you say that both of them from a ambition standpoint are pretty good?
Yeah. I mean,
would you say like you really enjoyed both of them the same way, or would you say?
I wouldn't say the same way, because
well, probably different ways. But would you say like at the end of the day, did you beat them with the same like feeling of like that was a great fucking time?
Yeah.
Okay. So based off of Steven's reaction, would you say, Anon, that's a fair assessment that he'd be like, for Steven, not you, but for Steven, he would be like, okay, that could be considered his, like, whatever, like, that could be the witch. Okay, let me ask you this, Steven. Would you say that Zelda is, like, your new standard? Like, you'd be like, okay, for something to be, like, really fucking fire, it has to be I have to have the same feeling playing, like, Zelda? Or would you say, like, it's like, it was alright?
In terms of, maybe open world games.
Okay, I see that. I believe that. Okay, that makes sense. So, yeah. At the end of the day, I agree with what both of you are saying, but I see definitely what Anon. Anon's just saying, like, in general, just for, like, the sake of the industry, you have to pick something that's high quality, and then you have to be like, I want you guys to strive and make something like that.
Exactly. That's all it is. I just want people to strive.
I just want you to attempt it. Like, try to do your best job that you can, instead of, like, being like, whatever you fucking do,
I agree with you. Like,
it.
I would like to see more Witchers, but at the end of the day, everything we're talking about is subjective. Because I've heard numerous people on YouTube talk about, oh, that Witcher 3 shit is weird. I'm not playing that. You know, we over here. Playing this, that, and the third.
Well, that's different strokes for different folks.
That's different strokes for different folks. Because I've heard niggas be like, "Oh, Witcher is trash," and then
but that's why I'm saying you can't expect a Witcher every 3 or maybe even 3 years, because the bottom line is I still feel like it's still a lot to ask to have that on the regular. Because I can even make the argument that. Gotta keep in mind, The Witcher 3 was the third game in the entry, and that was the breakout title. Nobody gave a fuck about The Witcher before Witcher 3. 1 and 2 had like its cult following, but it took 3 for them to really get things going.
In perspective, TBH, like, to put this everything in perspective about this, Mass Effect 3 only sold 3 million units.
Yeah, I know that thing didn't sell amazing. The first two didn't sell amazing at all.
Well, no. I would assume Mass Effect 3 out of the whole trilogy would sell the most because it had the most amount of hype out of all 3 of the games.
Yeah,
and the most amount of marketing. And that was, like,
it didn't have hype. It had some marketing, which was the difference. No,
it had
Mass Effect 3 had hype. You're crazy. After Mass Effect 2, you're crazy.
Yeah, Mass Effect 2.
Maybe where y'all from, I don't know anybody in my circle when I was in high school going into college that was talking about Mass Effect. I was the only kid that ever played that shit in my area.
I'm telling you, like, Mass Effect 3 had a big market, but like it was on TV. They literally put that Taking Back Earth CGI.
Yeah, Take Back Earth. Yeah.
During the Walking Dead commercial time, like for a highlight of the season finale of The Walking Dead. Like that's how far they pushed it. They pushed it,
but that doesn't mean people acknowledge it. All I'm saying is there are more Abel Greens than there are Anons.
No, but I'm saying is that they marketed it.
You can laugh, but that's the reality of the situation. Oh, it's got a commercial. That's cool. I ain't playing that shit. Like, that's not like Black Ops 2. Like, people are going to dismiss things, and it's not going to sell as well as X, Y, or Z.